Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I step off the train and deliver an episode to you while I walk home. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good morning, listeners. It is a brisk January day here in suburban Chicago, and I'm walking home from my zombie class, having just stepped off the train. Well, normally I don't record episodes during my January term class commute, but one, I feel like it, which is always the first filter. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. I don't keep an exacting schedule, which, is good podcast form. I don't follow that. And I generally answer to the idea that if this isn't fun, I'm not going to do it. So I do it when I feel like it, and it's fun. However, I also try to meet certain benchmarks, one of which is I try to do 100 episodes a year. And I've done 90 this year, so I'm 10 short. Normally I take a break between December 20th or so and January 20th because I am teaching a January term class that is usually very time intensive. But I kind of want to be able to start season 4 with episode 400 or episode 401. And so I am wrapping up this season with a couple extra January episodes so that I can get caught up. So that's what we're doing. But because it is my first episode of January, you know what that means. It's time for January 2022, Top of the Stack. Bew! I'm not sure. I was going to make shooting noises, but that's for shooting from the hip. So bew, I guess, is the Top of the Stack sound. Again, for new podcast listeners, the Top of the Stack is a roundup episode in which I talk about games I played in the last month and my goal, how well I did in meeting my goals for the last month. And then I talk about goals for the next month. If you'd like to participate, join us over on our Board Game Geek Guild. There's a link from the podcast show notes, or I will mention it at the end of the episode. So December was a fun month. Lots of games played. It was busy as all get out. I'm very tired from December, and January is exhausting work-wise, but it was a good time in that regard. Here's my stats. Finally, monthly stats. Month plays. I had 69 plays of 51 different games. Me bringing my 2021 year-end total to 819 plays of 274 games. Not bad at all. For those of you who've never listened before and are like, wait, how the heck are you playing 819 games? Many of those are asynchronous online plays. I keep a regular circuit of games going on Board Game Arena, Boitage, and Yukata.de. And so at any time I'm playing 15 games simultaneously on those platforms. And so that's where the bulk of my plays come from. But I do play in person quite a bit as well. So my shelf of opportunity is up to 63 games, which means my year over total. My goal was to go from the beginning of the year when I had 40 games on my shelf of opportunity to bring it down to less than 20. In other words, play every game that I bought and 20 more that I hadn't bought. Instead, I'm up to 63 games on my shelf of opportunity. Now, I will say I did play an awful lot of new games this year. I'll get to that in a minute, but not great work on my shelf of opportunity. I really need to buckle down this year and try to get some of those games off of there. In the same regard, my collection size also failed to be reduced. Beginning of the year, I had 425 games. Right now, I have about 520. I did not run the number here, but there's a lot. So I did not end up reducing my game count. I will say I got an awful lot of games in thrift stores and from sales, so I did not buy 100 new games. Instead, I am making better use of my monthly walking cash to buy games at thrifty prices. But I also need to do a better job of getting games out of my collection when they're no longer needed there. All right, my top of the stack, my final summary. So top of the stack are 4 games that I pick, of which I'd like to play 3 in any given month. And I see how well I did. This last month, I had 4 games on my list. Alien Artifacts was the new game. Then I also had Bees, another new game. That's Bees with 5 E's. I was attempting again to get Arion played, and I wanted to revisit Orléans. I managed to play Bees and Arion, but I did not get Alien Artifacts or Orléans played. So 2 out of 3, bringing my year-end total to 16 out of 36 possible games on my top of the stack, which is less than half. That's a bummer. I'm going to do better this year. That's going to be a major goal for me. On the other hand, it was a lovely month for playing new games. Going into the month, I had 95 new games played this year. Here are the titles that I played this month. Tapestry, Box 1, The Loop, Sheepy Time, Bees, Roll Camera, The Dwellings of Eldervale, Die Hard, Nakatomi Heist, Wildlands, Tales from the Loop, Growl, Pelican Bay, and Arion, bringing it to a grand total of 108 new-to-me games tried this year. I had an informal goal of 100, which I set somewhere around the middle of the year when I had played at least 50. And I was like, I bet I could keep on this pace and get 100 new games played this year. I did it, people. So that was very fun. Good times. I did try a couple expansions this month as well. My daughter got the Sherlock single deck puzzle games, which are sold in the US as the Sherlock Files. And we played the Don's Legacy, 13 Hostages from that. We also played the Escape Room in a Box, Time Drifters, Isabel's Story, and the Unlock Mythic Adventures Around the World in 80 Minutes, bringing up to a total of 16 new-to-me expansions played this year. Lots of fun games played and tried in 2021. It was also a good month for dusting off games. And out of the dusty game is one that's been sitting on my shelf or I haven't played for a year or more. So the question is, which game is dustiest? And the answer is Unspeakable Words. I played Unspeakable Words at the gathering of Toggle Gaming, my local gaming group. And we played 4 years, 1 month, and 27 days ago. So it had been 4 years since I played Unspeakable Words. It was fine, not amazing. I also played Imhotep 5 years ago, and I played that again. I put that second, though, because I played it asynchronously online instead of in person, whereas I'd played it in person before. I disliked it just as much this time as I did 5 years ago. Ticket to Ride. How could Ticket to Ride be dusty? Well, it's been a year and 3 months since I played it, so when I played it, it was dusty. I imagine that one won't get dusty again. We like Ticket to Ride. We play it every so often, usually when my mom visits, because she likes that one. And then Between Two Cities, it had been 1 year, 6 months since I played that game. Felt like longer, to be honest, but I always enjoy that one. That was my Out of the Dust challenge. Well, the end of December brought to a close my family 10 for 10. Remember, a 10 for 10 is a list of 10 games that you've decided you want to play 10 times over the course of a year, 10 times each over the course of a year. My family, I picked 4 games. And my son, my daughter, and my wife each picked 2 games that they wanted to put on our family 10 for 10 list. And then we tried to play all of those barely at all. We did pretty poorly. We ended up at about 45 out of 100 possible plays. And the numbers came out sort of like this. We played Cafe Chaos 3 times, Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion 5, the Adventure Games Adventure Series 3 times, 7 Wonders 7 times, Obsession 7 times, Victoriana 4 times, Anachrony once, Pandemic Legacy Season 0 7 times, Under Falling Skies once, and Cartographers 7 times. So we played the original, we played all 10 0 times, which is a real bummer. However, I did manage to achieve a organic 10 for 10 in my online plays. I'm not going to go read those titles for you. If you're a regular listener, you can probably figure out what they are. But my H index on my board game stats, which is the number of games that I've played that number of times, is 11. I have 11 different games that I've played 11 times. Actually, I have quite a few more that I've played 11 times, but I don't have 12 games that I've played 12 times. So my H index is 11. I had a 52 game challenge. As a reminder, the 52 game challenge is a list of 52 unique prompts, and your goal is to do all of them by the end of the year. I was strong but not complete in that, and I managed to get 50 out of the 52. I had 5 left to go coming into this month, and the 3 that I completed are play a dark academia game. I chose Tales from the Loop for this one because the characters in it are in school. Play a game with an oxymoron in the title. I chose Unspeakable Words with the argument that a written word is a representation of an oral sound, and that oral sound must be spoken. So an unspeakable word would be a word that isn't a word. Hence, oxymoron. And finally, play a game with hearts, clubs, spades, or diamonds on the cover, and I picked Splendor for that because the main character on the cover of the box is holding a diamond. In my editing, I'm going to try to catch all the sniffs, but if you hear any of them, it is cold out, and so my nose is a little runny. This is not a sign of my illness. I don't have an illness as far as I know, but my nose is a little runny from the cold. So I mentioned that I got a number of games in December. I thought I would rattle them off for you. These are games that were added to my shelf of opportunity in December. Some of them I got played. I will tell you if I played them or not. We have Alma Mater, did not play. Fallen Angel, did not play. Splendor, played a couple times. It's a hit in my family. I was really excited to get this copy of Splendor because I didn't have the game. It's one I knew would be a good fit for my family. It's enjoyable and a nice break from something like Century or Calico, which feel like roughly equivalent weights to Splendor. But we didn't have Splendor, so even though it's older, it's new to us. And I had a friend who was selling it for a very reasonable price, and they had an early copy. So even though the box was dinged up and the rulebook was messed up and the cards are well loved but perfectly serviceable, the chips, they're those early printing super heavy chips. Like if someone breaks into my house, I can just hit them with my copy of Splendor and they're going down. It's awesome. So I was really happy to get that. My understanding is if you buy a copy of Splendor at the store right now, the chips that you get in it are not as substantial. I can't verify that. I haven't checked it out, but I've heard that to be the case. I got a copy of Paradox, which apparently I played sometime long ago. It is marked as played in my board game stats, but I have not played this copy, nor played it since I bought it, so it's unplayed on my shelf of opportunity. I also got the game Witness. I'm really excited for this. This is a mystery game from 2014 that is about whispering mystery clues to the people around the table. It's sort of like a game of telephone, but with a game built in. Really exciting. Always plays 4 players, has a really neat art style. It looks sort of like Tintin, a little bit. All right, then I got Sheepy Time, which I did play. That's a nice little push your luck game. I'm not sure how long it'll stay in our collection though, because my wife does not like it. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mentioned the Sherlock games already. Got to try a couple of those. We have one more to try. I have this weird situation where we'll have games that I'll give to my kids, but they don't keep the games in their room or anything. They keep the games in our collection. And so I mark those games as part of our collection, even though they don't belong to me. But I guess my collection really documents the games that are sitting on my shelves in the basement more than the games that I own. So anyway, one more of those Sherlock games. We got the cooperative game Roll Camera, which is a fun little game about making a movie. We won once and lost once, and that's pretty fun. We haven't used the company cards yet, so there's a bit more of exploring to do with that game. It's fun. I don't know that it's quite as amazing as Rahdo seems to think. Rahdo gave it Game of the Year last year, which was a big part of why I bought it, and I think it's fine, but I'm not sure I think it's amazing. So we'll see. We also played on normal difficulty. Maybe we need to up it to hard difficulty to really get the feel for it. So we were a little worried it's too easy, but it turns out that's the introductory scenario that's there to teach you how to play, and that later ones are going to be harder. So that's going to be good. Then we have Kingdom Rush Rift in Time, which was a game for my son. It's based on the game on the app of the same title, and he's very excited for that. We have Orleans Stories, which is a campaign game set in the Orleans universe. I'm really excited to give that a try. Then we have Screaming Eagles, which is a game I picked up at the thrift store. It is a aircraft combat game with little F-14s on stands. It looks very silly and dumb, but it was $2, so there it is. We also I got for Christmas from my friend Paul, hi Paul, Clank Legacy Acquisitions Incorporated, which we're very excited to try as a family. The family likes Clank, and I think this bigger expansion of it has gotten nothing but positive reviews, so I'm very excited to give that a try. And then finally, we have Pelican Bay. Now, Pelican Bay is a tile laying game, again, that I picked up at Goodwill. We did manage to get it played before the end of the year. We played it on December 31st. And it's a nice little tile layer. We're laying out pieces and seeing how they connect. It's an excellent game to play in terms of sort of building areas and stuff. It's middleweight Carcassonne style board game. Which brings me to the final question of the day, which is what I'm going to play for next year. As I mentioned, the whole idea of the top of the stack is that you're setting up your next stack. Now, the one thing I don't have for the top of the stack this month is I do not have our 10 for 10s figured out yet. We are going to do some family 10 for 10s, but we're just starting to wrestle with the question of what's going to be in them. And so we don't know yet which games we'll be playing. That said, I do have 4 games I want to try in the month of January. First off, we have Kingdom Rush. As I mentioned, this is a tower defense game. My son is very keen to play it. He's going to learn the rules and teach the family. Looking forward to giving that one a try. The other 2 are also new games I picked up last month. I want to try Paradox again. Obviously, I played it at some point in the past, and it didn't stick in my brain as something that's bad. It turns out it could be bad. We'll see, but I'm excited to give it a try. Then there's Clank Legacy, Acquisitions Incorporated, which I think is going to be a super fun way to explore that familiar property. And then finally, I want to get Orleans played. In particular, I want to play it with my wife, who isn't really going to be keen on the theme, but maybe she'll like the game, and then we can play Orleans stories together. Well, that's my plan for January 2022. What's your plan? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and share your December plays and your January plans. You can also send me an email, Brendan at Rattlebox Games, or an individual mail through Board Game Geek to Wombat929. Thanks for listening to me on my walk today. I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.